Xenoverse 2 allows you to play as 8 different classes across 5 races, which is best for each playstyle. I have 8 level 99 characters, all skills unified, all body types and heights reset with the Dragonballs, all attributes removed, no clothing or QQ bangs. This is the raw character data. I will prove once and for all which is the best race for tankiness, regen, speed and damage. This is my ultimate CAC guide for Dragonball Xenoverse 2, Vitality. First, let's go over the transformations which are excluded from testing. First one will be Power Pop Rope because it changes your moveset and it's overshadowed by Potential Unleashed. Kaioken is excluded because it actually makes you take more damage than usual and it drains your stamina, not good for a defense test. Become Giant is also excluded because it makes you take stamina damage instead of health damage and it changes your moveset anyway. And finally, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan makes you take more additional damage, which is useless for a defense test. In this video, I'll be looking at their total health and defense in their base form as well as 2 relevant transformations which I have picked most relevant at the time. I will be giving them scores from 8 to 1 based on their performance and they'll get bonuses for their racial attributes. First, let's destroy all of my custom created characters with Lilith, Angel of Creation, a mod created by Black X, and the link to this will be in the description for you to enjoy yourself. First, let's look at the Freezer Race character, with a total health of 21,375. Next up is the Female Human, with a total of 22,875 health. Next up is the Male Human. He has a total health of 22,875. Next comes the Namekian, coming in at a nice even round 24,000 health. Next up is the Male Margin, coming in at the highest so far with 24,375 total health. Next is the Female Margin, coming in at a much lower 21,375 health. Next for the Female Saiyan, clocking in at just around 21,375 health. Finally for the Male Saiyan, coming up a little higher than the Female Saiyan at 21,750 total health. Now we have values for all of their total health points. Let's have a look and see how they compare. In first place is the Male Margin with 24,375, followed very closely by the Namekian, and in joint third at the moment is the 2 human race characters. Now let's look at a defense test. For this I will need help from Augmented Transformable Cooler by Lazybones, link in the description yet again for you to enjoy. We're going to use 2 super attacks, 1 Ki Blast and 1 Strike based, and we're going to add up the total damage taken by each character and plot them on the graph. First results are in, and the Freezer Race character has a total of 21,375 health and takes 5,372 total damage from Cooler's attacks. Next up is the Male Human. Male Human has a total of 22,875 total health and takes 5,372 damage from Cooler's attacks, the same as the Freezer Race character. From the third set of results, you might see quite an interesting turn of events. Each character seems to take the same amount of damage in their base form, so these results will be quite predictable. The Male Margin is the only one taking less damage because of his racial attributes. When you create your character and add it to the roster, it actually removes the racial attributes, which is why I had to do it manually and it doesn't appear in the video. The Female Margin takes 5,372 damage, the same as every other class except for the Male Margin, with 21,375 health. The Namekian takes 1 more damage, but I think this is more of an anomaly than an actual difference in defense, so we're going to count this as the same as the rest of them, with 24,000 health to boot. The Male Saiyan's results are in, and he takes 5,372 damage like every other race except for the Male Margin, with 21,750 total health. finally, the female Saiyan takes the exact same amount of damage as the male Saiyan and has slightly less health, clocking in at 21,375 damage. Let's add these results to our graph and let's see how they stack up. As we can see, all characters take the same base damage in their base form, with the only exception being the male margin because of his racial attribute taking less damage. So from this we can plot that the first place in the health department goes to male margin, second place to Namekian, and joint third goes to the both human race characters, and the only clear winner in the defense category is the male margin. First place in each category gets 8 points, second place 7, yada yada yada, giving the male margin a total of 16 points, Namekian 14. Now let's factor in the racial attributes. +5 for every positive and -5 for every negative. The Namekian gets health regen when he's below 70% health, so this gives him +5 points. The male margin has 25% damage resistance, so that gives him +5 points, but he gets another -5 because he takes double damage when you're below 2 bars of stamina. Both can be a game-changing thing, so this alters the scores quite a bit. This means in joint third, with 13 points, are the two human races. In second place now is the male margin with 16 points, lost out because of his racial attributes, and in first place with 19 points is the most tankiest base form character in the game, the Namekian. Now for the transformations. I'm not going to show you the testing all over again because that would be quite boring and the video will be very long. So we're going to give Potential Unleashed and Golden Form to the Freezer Race character. The humans will only get Potential Unleashed, the Namekian will get Potential Unleashed only, the Margins will get Potential Unleashed and Purification, and the Saiyans will get Super Vegeta and Super Saiyan. And the results are in. We can see that Potential Unleashed actually decreases the damage you take from all attacks for all characters. Purification and Golden Form actually increase it quite substantially, and finally Super Vegeta and Super Saiyan offer quite a hefty damage resistance, more so than Potential Unleashed, meaning that Super Saiyan and Super Vegeta are the tankiest transformations in the game. So from this we can see that the third best transformation is Super Saiyan for the Saiyan race characters, second best is Super Vegeta for the Saiyans, but the best is Potential Unleashed for the male margin because of his racial attributes. Quickly looking back at our base form round, the Namekian was in first place with 19 points, second was male margin with 16, and in joint third were humans with 13 each. From the transformation round, we're going to give 8 points to the male margin, 7 to the Saiyan, 6 to the Namekian, 5 to the Freezer Race character, and 4 for the female margin. And this gives us the final points for the Vitality round of this test. In last place with only 15 points is the female margin. Barely escaping last place with 16 points is the Freezer Race character. In fourth place, let down by her low HP, is the female Saiyan. Unexpectedly, there's a three-way tie for third place between the male Saiyan and male and female humans. In second place, let down by his unfortunate racial attribute, is the male margin with 24 points, meaning with 25 points, and stealing first place, taking the gold, is the Namekian. Now, to summarise the vitality test of the Ultimate CAC guide, we've learnt that the Namekian is the all-round best character in his category for his high health and his health regen factor. The male margin takes second place, even though he has the highest defense and the highest health, he takes double damage when he has less than 2 bars of stamina. In third place, we have the male and female humans because of their decent health, while the male Saiyan, despite having a low health, actually has a really good defense buff when he uses Super Saiyan or Super Vegeta, so he creeps into third place with them. This has been the Vitality Test for the Ultimate CAC Guide for Dragonball Xenoverse 2, a series in which I plan to answer the questions of which character is better in which situation. The next video will be going over their ki and stamina regen, factoring in their racial attributes with their transformations available. Until then, stay tuned for the next exciting episode of AxoniusRex.